fires snapping beside me. Brothers. Heat on one side of my face. Cold crawling into the old injury on my left leg. That's how Winter talks to a man who thought he'd already paid his dues. Here's the lie nobody warns you about. You can leave the battlefield, but that doesn't mean the war is done. Sometimes the quiet is worse than gunfire. Quiet gives the ghosts room to breathe. Then the breach comes. The place you call safe gets a knock at the door. Not with fists, with doubt, with fear, with a stranger in the dark and a trap, dressed up like a clean suit and a friendly smile. So let me ask you, brother, when you get pushed into a corner, do you run? Or do you hold the line? A woman in Savannah took one look at a red and black flannel and a service dog named Rex and decided a man was disposable. Hours later, the same man was the only thing standing between her and the night, and the real monster was closer than she thought. Pull up a chair. Let the coffee steam. Listen close. There's a survival lesson in what happened next. The night she chose to look down, a warm winter rain drifted through Savannah, Georgia. Soft, but relentless, turning the cobblestone streets slick and reflective under the amber glow of street lamps. Claire Bennett stood behind the marble front desk of the Harbor Row Hotel and felt the familiar tightness in her chest. The lobby smelled of polished wood and citrus cleaner, a scent that always reminded her of control. At 33, she had learned to survive by keeping everything precise. Schedules, appearances, people. Her dark blazer fit perfectly. Her posture was flawless. No one looking at her would guess how tired she felt. Across the lobby, a small group of investors laughed too loudly near the bar. Claire watched them from a distance, calculating. One wrong impression tonight could cost her the promotion she had been chasing for years. She told herself that pressure was normal, that this was the price of staying above water. The glass doors slid open with a quiet hiss. The man who stepped inside did not belong to her careful picture of the evening. He was tall and broad-shouldered, moving with the restrained economy of someone trained to notice exits and shadows. He wore a red and black flannel shirt that had seen better days, faded blue jeans, and worn brown boots damp from the rain. His beard was trimmed, but streaked with gray at the temples, and his left leg carried a slight hitch when he walked, subtle but unmistakable. At his side walked a large German shepherd, black and tan, calm and alert. The dog wore a black harness with clear white lettering that read, "Service dog. Do not pet." Several heads turned. Claire felt it instantly. The disturbance, the threat to order. The man approached the desk without hesitation. His voice was low and steady when he spoke. "Evening. I just need some hot water. My dog ran through road salt a few blocks back." Claire's eyes flicked to the dog, then to the flannel, then to the wet boots on her polished floor. Her jaw tightened. "We do not allow animals in the lobby," she said, keeping her tone cool. Service animal or not, the man met her gaze. His eyes were gray-blue, calm but guarded. "He is a service dog," he said, "and I am not staying, just asking for water." Behind him, the German shepherd sat without command. Posture perfect, eyes forward. The dog did not pull, bark, or beg. He simply waited. Claire felt irritation rise. Rules existed for a reason. If she bent them here, someone would notice. Someone always did. "We have standards," she replied. "This is a private hotel." A flicker crossed the man's face. Not anger. Something older. He nodded once. "I understand." He turned to leave. That should have been the end of it. But one of the investors laughed behind him and said something under his breath. Claire caught the word homeless. Her pulse spiked. She could feel eyes on her now. Staff, guests, judgment, waiting to see how she would handle the situation. She straightened. "Security," she called. The guard arrived quickly, young and uncomfortable. He glanced from Claire to the man to the dog. "Please escort them outside," Claire said. Immediately, the man stopped. He turned back, slowly. Rainwater darkened the shoulders of his flannel. Up close, Claire could see the lines around his eyes, the kind that came from sun and strain rather than age. "I asked for water," he said quietly. "That's all." Claire held his gaze. She told herself she was doing her job, that she was protecting the hotel. That sentiment was weakness. "You need to leave," she said. Now. For a moment, something unreadable passed between them. Then the man nodded again. "Come on, Rex." The dog rose at once, moving in perfect sync with him. As they walked toward the doors, the dog glanced back, eyes sharp and intelligent, not pleading, assessing. The doors closed behind them. The lobby exhaled. Claire felt a strange hollowness settle in her chest, sharp and unwelcome. She ignored it and returned to her tablet, hands steady by force of habit. From a corner chair near the fireplace, a small boy watched her. Noah Bennett was 8, thin and quiet, his hoodie sleeves pulled over his hands. His brown eyes were wide, thoughtful. "Why did you make him go?" Noah asked. Claire stiffened. "Because rules matter." The boy frowned. He looked tired, and the dog was really good. Claire opened her mouth, then closed it. She did not owe a child an explanation. Outside, the rain had picked up. Logan Pierce adjusted his grip on the leash as he stepped back onto the slick street. His left leg protested. A dull ache he ignored. Rex walked close at his side, steady as always. "Good job," Logan murmured. The dog's ears flicked, but he stayed calm. Logan did not look back at the hotel. He had learned a long time ago that dignity was quieter than pride. Still, something about the woman's eyes stayed with him. Not cruelty, fear. He and Rex disappeared into the rain, moving toward the darker streets near the river, unaware that within hours, the balance between judgment and consequence would shift, and that the woman behind the marble desk would learn what it truly meant to look down on the wrong person. The regret that came before dawn. The rain thickened after midnight, warm and heavy, turning Savannah's narrow streets into mirrors of broken light and restless shadows. Claire Bennett left the hotel later than planned. The investors had finally gone upstairs, their laughter fading behind closed elevator doors. But the tension they left behind clung to her like humidity. Claire walked through the empty lobby, heels clicking against marble, replaying the moment at the front desk again and again. The man's voice, calm, controlled. The dog's stillness. The boy's question. She told herself she had done what any manager would do. Appearances mattered. Control mattered. And yet, the hollowness in her chest had not gone away. Outside, the air smelled of wet stone and river water. Claire pulled her coat tighter and crossed the parking area toward her car. The streets near the historic district were quieter at this hour, older buildings looming like tired witnesses. Her phone buzzed. Grant Holloway's name lit the screen. Grant was 45, tall and polished, with silver threaded neatly through his dark hair. A local investor with a reputation for charm and pressure in equal measure. He smiled easily, spoke smoothly, and never wasted a crisis. "Claire," he said when she answered, voice warm and confident. "Just checking in. Big night for you." She closed her eyes briefly. "It's late." "Grant." "I know. I will be quick. There's an addendum I want you to review before morning. Nothing major. Just protection. For you." Protection. The word tightened something in her stomach. "Email it," she said. "It's easier if I walk you through it," he replied. "I'm nearby. 5 minutes." Claire hesitated. She hated being cornered, but she hated uncertainty more. "Fine," she said. "Send the document." She reached her car, unlocked it, then paused when the file arrived. Legal language blurred on the small screen. She stepped away from the vehicle toward a street lamp, rain tapping softly on her hair. That was when she sensed movement. Footsteps. Too light. Too close. Claire looked up. A figure stood at the edge of the light, face hidden by a hood, posture loose in a way that felt wrong. Not drunk, not lost, waiting. Her pulse spiked. "Can I help you?" she asked, voice sharper than she felt. The figure did not answer. He took a step closer. Claire stepped back. Her heel slid on wet stone. The phone slipped from her hand and skidded across the ground. The screen cracking. Panic surged, hot and sudden. Then came a sound that cut through it all. A low, controlled growl. The hooded figure froze. From the darker end of the street, a German shepherd emerged into the glow of the lamp. Black and tan, broad chest, head level, eyes fixed and unblinking. A black harness hugged his frame, white letters stark against the night. Service dog. Do not pet. The man beside the dog stepped forward. He wore the same red and black flannel, rain darkening the fabric. His beard glistened with water, silver catching the light at his temples. He moved with purpose, though his left leg lagged a fraction behind. The hitch more pronounced now as he placed himself between Claire and the stranger. Walk away, the man said. His voice was calm, flat, certain. The hooded figure glanced at the dog, then at the man's eyes. Whatever he saw there made his decision for him. He backed away, then turned and disappeared into the rain without a word. For a moment, only the rain remained. Claire realized she was shaking. The man turned to her. You okay? She nodded, though her breath came too fast. Yes. The dog sat at once, steady and alert, eyes scanning the street as if cataloging threats. You dropped this, the man said, picking up her phone carefully and handing it back. Their fingers brushed. Claire flinched, not from fear, but from the sudden weight of awareness. You, she said, the word catching in her throat. From the hotel. He nodded once. Logan, she swallowed. Claire, for a second. Neither of them spoke. I'm sorry, she said suddenly. The words surprised her as much as they seemed to surprise him about earlier. Logan studied her face. He did not look angry. He looked tired. People make choices, he said. Some matter more than others. The rain softened, as if listening. I thought you were... She stopped. There was no polite way to finish the sentence. Logan followed her gaze down the empty street, then back to her. I get that a lot. Rex shifted slightly, leaning closer to Logan's leg. Logan rested a hand briefly on the dog's head, grounding himself. I wasn't following you, Logan said. I was headed this way anyway. Claire nodded. Savannah felt suddenly smaller, more intimate. Thank you, she said. For stepping in. Logan shrugged lightly. Right thing to do. A distant siren wailed, then faded. Claire looked at him, really looked. This time, the wear in his clothes, the quiet discipline in his posture, the way the dog watched, not her, but the space around her. You could have walked on, she said. Yes, Logan replied. I could have. Something in his tone made her chest ache. I won't forget this, she said. Logan's expression softened, just enough to notice. Good. He turned away then, adjusting the leash. Come on, Rex. The dog rose smoothly, casting one last glance at Claire, thoughtful and unreadable, as they disappeared down the street toward the river. Claire stood alone under the street lamp, rain dripping from her coat, heart pounding with more than fear. The regret had come fast, sharp, unavoidable, and she knew, with sudden clarity, that this night was not finished with her yet, where the city keeps its quiet promises. Morning came slow and pale, mist rising off the Savannah River, softening the edges of old brick buildings and rusted iron rails. Claire Bennett had not slept. She lay awake until dawn, staring at the ceiling of her apartment, the sound of rain replaced by silence that felt louder. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw the moment again. The hooded figure, the growl, the calm voice telling danger to walk away, and the shame. By 8 o'clock, she gave up on rest and dressed simply. No blazer, no heels, just a gray sweater, dark jeans, and flat shoes. The woman in the mirror looked unfamiliar, younger, less armored. She drove toward the river. Savannah changed as morning settled in. Tourist streets gave way to quieter blocks where history leaned against itself. Paint peeled, porches sagged, Life moved slower here, as if the city remembered something newer neighborhoods had forgotten. She saw them before she meant to. Logan Pierce stood on the sidewalk outside a narrow, aging house with white clapboard siding. He wore the same red and black flannel, sleeves rolled up despite the cool air. His boots were muddy. Rex lay near the steps, alert but relaxed. Black harness visible, head lifting the moment Claire's car slowed. Logan's left leg bore more weight now, his movements careful as he adjusted a loose shutter. Claire parked and stepped out. Logan noticed her immediately. His shoulders tightened. Instinctive. Protective. Rex rose smoothly, placing himself just forward of Logan's knee. Not aggressive, simply present. "You followed me," Logan said, not accusing, just stating fact. Claire stopped a few feet away. "I hoped I might find you." Silence stretched. The front door opened before either of them spoke. Evelyn Hart stepped onto the porch, small and stooped, wrapped in a faded blue cardigan. Her silver hair was pinned neatly back, her face a map of lines earned through decades of weather and worry. Her eyes, sharp and warm, took everything in at once. "Well," she said, voice dry and steady. "You're early today, Logan, and you brought company." Logan exhaled. "Mrs. Hart. This is Claire." Evelyn studied Claire openly, without suspicion. "You look like someone who didn't sleep." Claire swallowed. "I didn't." Evelyn nodded, as if that explained everything. That usually means something important happened. Rex relaxed at the sound of the older woman's voice, tail thumping once against the step. Claire watched the easy way Logan and the dog fit into this space. The house was old, modest, but cared for. "I wanted to thank you," Claire said quietly, "for last night." Logan wiped his hands on a rag. "I told you. Right thing to do." "That's not why I'm here," she said. "I want to understand." Logan's eyes searched her face. He seemed to be measuring something, deciding whether it was worth the cost. Evelyn cleared her throat. "Logan, the kettle's on." Logan hesitated, then nodded. "Come inside," he said to Claire. "It's cold." The living room smelled of tea and old wood. Family photos lined the walls. People Logan recognized. People Claire did not. Evelyn poured tea with practiced hands. "Sit," she told Claire. "You look like you might fall over." Claire sat. Logan remained standing near the doorway, arms crossed, posture guarded. Rex lay at his feet, eyes half closed but never fully resting. "You didn't look like someone who needed saving last night," Evelyn said to Claire. "Most folks who come through here don't." Claire felt the heat rise to her cheeks. "I made a mistake." Evelyn smiled faintly. "We all do. The trick is what we do after." Claire looked at Logan. "I judged you. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I saw your clothes, your dog, and I decided who you were." Logan's jaw tightened. He said nothing. Evelyn watched him, then spoke gently. Logan came back broken. Claire's heart stuttered. "Not the kind you can see," Evelyn continued. "The kind that doesn't bleed but never quite stops hurting." Logan looked away. "He didn't ask for help," Evelyn said. "Just fixed things. Roofs, doors, fences. Stayed quiet, paid attention. That's who he is." Claire felt something shift inside her. "I treated him like a problem." "Yes," Evelyn said simply. "You did." The honesty stung more than anger would have. Logan finally spoke. "I didn't tell you any of that last night because it wasn't the point." "What is the point?" Claire asked. "That people don't owe you softness just because you decide to see them," Logan replied. Rex lifted his head, sensing the change in Logan's tone. Claire nodded. "I know I can't fix this with an apology." Logan studied her again, this time longer, deeper. "Why are you really here?" he asked. Claire thought of the fear she lived with, the constant pressure, the way power had become armor instead of purpose. "Because I don't want to be that person anymore," she said. Evelyn set her cup down. "That's a start." Outside, the city moved on. Cars passed. A distant horn sounded on the river. Logan sighed, a sound of reluctant honesty. You don't owe me anything. Claire met his gaze.
I think I do.
Logan didn't answer, but he didn't ask her to leave. And for Claire Bennett, that small mercy felt heavier than any punishment. The cost of standing in the light. A gray afternoon settled over Savannah, clouds hanging low and heavy, pressing the city into a quiet, uneasy stillness. Claire Bennett stood outside the glass conference room and listened to voices rise inside. She could hear Grant Holloway without seeing him. His voice always carried, smooth and confident, shaped by years of getting what he wanted. At 45, Grant looked every inch the successful investor. Tailored navy suit, silver threaded through dark hair, posture relaxed as if the room already belonged to him. Claire's reflection stared back at her from the glass, pale, focused, afraid. She thought of Logan Pierce standing in the morning light, red and black flannel, damp with mist, refusing to demand anything from her. She thought of Rex lying at his feet, silent and watchful. And she knew she could not step into this room the same person she had been before. She opened the door. The conversation faltered. Grant smiled when he saw her. Claire, perfect timing. Around the table sat 4 investors and 2 senior managers. Suits, coffee cups, expectation. Grant gestured toward the screen. We were just reviewing an incident that could seriously affect the hotel's image. The screen lit up. Security footage. The lobby. The front desk. Claire standing tall. Logan Pierce in his red and black flannel. Rex beside him. Harness clearly visible. Grant's finger hovered near the remote. This man has been loitering around the property, he said smoothly. And after what happened the other night, I think we should consider liability. We cannot afford associations like this. Claire felt the old instinct rise. Deflect, protect, sacrifice someone else. She didn't. Play the rest, she said. Grant's smile thinned. This is sufficient. No, Claire replied. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled. Play all of it. A murmur moved around the table. Grant hesitated, then pressed the button. The footage continued. The audio caught Claire's voice calling security. Her tone was clipped, controlled, cold. Claire watched herself with painful clarity. I made that call, she said before anyone else could speak. And I was wrong. The room went silent. Grant blinked. Excuse me. I judged him based on appearance, Claire continued. And I was wrong. Grant laughed softly. You're being emotional. Claire turned to face him. You asked me to sign an addendum last night, one that shifted blame for operational failures onto staff. Grant's eyes sharpened. That's not relevant. It is, she said. Because you needed someone disposable, and you chose him. She tapped her tablet. A new image appeared on the screen. Property records, emails, timelines. Grant's posture stiffened. These documents, Claire said, show you have been pressuring residents in the historic district to sell under false pretenses, including the house owned by Evelyn Hart. A few investors leaned forward. Grant scoffed. This is absurd. Claire's voice did not rise. You leaked edited footage to scare me into compliance. You expected me to stay silent. She looked at the faces around the table. I won't. For the first time, Grant looked uncertain. You're throwing away your career, he said quietly. Claire thought of the boy by the fireplace, of the dog who sat without command, of the man who could have walked away and didn't. Maybe, she said, but I won't throw away my integrity. The meeting ended without applause, without praise, but Grant Holloway did not win. Logan Pierce watched the river darken as evening came. He leaned against the railing near the old dock, flannel collar turned up against the wind. Rex stood beside him, steady as a shadow. The harness letters caught the fading light. Logan didn't expect to see Claire again. He heard footsteps anyway. She approached slowly, coat unbuttoned, hair loose, eyes tired but clear. I told them, she said. Logan nodded once. That usually costs something. I may lose my job, she admitted. Grant won't forgive this. Rex shifted, sensing the tension, then sat. Logan studied Claire. Why are you here? Because I didn't want you to hear it from someone else, she said. And because I wanted you to know, I didn't stay quiet. Logan looked out at the river. I didn't ask you to do that. I know, Claire said. That's why it mattered. Silence stretched between them. Not empty, just careful. Grant will push back, Logan said. He doesn't like losing. Claire nodded. Neither do I. She hesitated. If I walk away from this, I don't know who I'll be. Logan turned to her then. His eyes were steady. Honest. You'll be someone who chose. Rex let out a slow breath, settling. Claire smiled faintly. That might be enough. They stood together as the river swallowed the last light of day. Two people who had stepped out of shadow, knowing full well what the light demanded in return. And neither of them turned back. What remains after the storm? Spring arrived quietly in Savannah. A mild breeze off the river, carrying warmth through streets still damp from passing rain. Magnolias beginning to open as if nothing painful had ever happened here. Logan Pierce stood on the porch of Evelyn Hart's house. The red and black flannel familiar against his broad shoulders. Sleeves rolled just past his wrists. The morning light caught the silver at his temples, softer now than it had been weeks ago. Rex lay at his feet, black harness snug against his chest, head resting on crossed paws, alert even in rest. Logan had learned to live with endings. Missions ended. People left. Seasons changed without asking permission. What he had never learned was how to stay when something new tried to begin. Behind him, the front door opened. Evelyn stepped out carefully, cardigan wrapped tight, eyes sharp as ever. Age had bent her back, but not her spirit. She carried 2 cups of coffee. You're pacing again, she said, handing one to Logan. Habit, he replied. Evelyn glanced toward the street. She's coming. Logan's jaw tightened. He nodded once, grateful and uneasy at the same time. Claire Bennett's car pulled up a few minutes later. It was smaller than before, older, sensible. She stepped out wearing jeans, a simple sweater, no makeup. Her hair was loose, moving in the breeze. She looked tired, but lighter. Rex rose at once, tail wagging once in quiet recognition. Claire smiled, despite herself. Hi, Rex. The dog sniffed the air, then sat, choosing calm over enthusiasm. Claire turned to Logan. Hi, he answered. They stood there for a moment, 2 people, unsure of the rules now that power no longer defined the space between them. Evelyn cleared her throat. I'll be inside, she said, already retreating. Don't let the coffee get cold. Claire watched her go, then looked back at Logan. Grant Holloway resigned this morning. Logan absorbed the news without visible reaction. Figured he would. The investors didn't like daylight, Claire said. Turns out manipulation looks different when it's fully lit. Logan nodded. And you? Claire exhaled. I resigned yesterday. Rex shifted closer to Logan's leg, sensing the weight of the moment. You didn't have to, Logan said. I did, Claire replied. If I stayed, it would have been easier, comfortable. I didn't want comfort anymore. Logan studied her face. The fear was still there, but it no longer ruled her. What will you do? He asked. Claire glanced toward the house. I've been offered consulting work, short-term, enough to live, enough to help Evelyn and the neighbors keep their homes. Logan felt something loosen in his chest, not hope, something steadier. I didn't come to ask for forgiveness, Claire said softly. I came to tell you I meant what I did. Logan took a slow breath. I believe you. The word surprised them both. Claire blinked. You do? Yes, he said. Because you paid for it. Rex leaned into Logan's knee, grounding him. Claire nodded. I did. She hesitated, then added, I don't know what this is between us. I'm not asking for anything. I just didn't want to walk away again. Logan thought of nights when silence was safer than connection, of choices that kept him alive, but alone. You don't have to decide everything today, he said. Claire smiled faintly. That's the first time anyone said that to me. Inside the house, a small voice echoed down the hallway. Aunt Claire, Noah appeared in the doorway, hoodie sleeves pushed up, eyes bright. He ran to the porch, stopping short when he saw Logan, then grinned. "Rex," he said, crouching carefully. Rex leaned forward, calm and accepting, allowing Noah to rest a hand against his shoulder. Logan watched Claire kneel beside her nephew. The way her hand rested naturally on the boy's back, something shifted again. Not danger, possibility. That evening, they ate together. Simple food, warm bread, laughter that felt unfamiliar but welcome. Rex lay beneath the table, a quiet anchor. After dinner, as dusk settled, Claire stepped onto the porch beside Logan. "I used to think strength meant never needing anyone," she said. Logan nodded. "I used to think the same." "And now?" she asked. He looked at Rex, at the street, at the light spilling from the windows behind them. "Now I think strength is choosing who you stand with." Claire smiled, real and unguarded. The breeze carried the scent of blossoms through the quiet street. They did not promise forever. They did not name what they were becoming. They simply stayed. And sometimes that was enough. Sometimes the miracle is not thunder from the sky or a voice we can hear. Sometimes the miracle is a moment when God slows us down just enough to see clearly. A choice made in fear can wound someone for years. A choice made in humility can heal more than we ever intended. God often uses ordinary people, quiet courage, and small acts of mercy to correct our path when pride leads us astray. In daily life, we meet people we do not understand. We judge by clothes, by titles, by first impressions. But faith reminds us that every soul carries a story, and every encounter is a test of who we choose to be. When we choose compassion over control, truth over comfort, and humility over status, we give God room to work. That is where real change begins. That is where hearts are restored. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs hope today. Leave a comment with your thoughts or a prayer. Subscribe for more stories of faith, redemption, and quiet miracles. May God bless you and guide your steps.